Live from Innovation Park on the campus of Penn State University, this is PSN News. It's Monday, November 18th. Tonight we'll bring you details on new construction developments on Penn State's campus, as well as an exclusive look into last week's 100 Days Until THON celebration.
We also have more on a fast food giant's new stance on supporting anti-LGBTQ organizations, updates on multiple shootings across the nation, as well as your entertainment, sports, and weather. Stay tuned.
Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Kennedy Miller.
And I'm Annie Mae.
On Friday, Penn State's Board of Trustees approved funding for a $56.8 million innovation and makerspace center in downtown State College. The 6-story building will be located at the former site of the 99-year-old James Building, the former home of the Daily Collegian on South Borough Street. The new building will serve as a hub for the Invent Penn State Entrepreneurial and Innovation Initiative, housing dean suites for the College of Earth, Mineral Science, and Information Sciences and Technologies. Laura Wise, Senior Vice President, said in a news release, quote, "The new building will serve as a cornerstone of our entrepreneurial ecosystem," end quote. The 85,000 square foot building is expected to be completed spring of 2021 and will offer workshops, virtual reality and immersive technologies lab, co-working spaces, classrooms, and an exclusive view of the campus on an outdoor porch that will be built on the 6th floor. According to a university press released last week, the new building will be referred to as the James Building Replacement.
Graffiti containing racial slurs was found on the walls of Simmons Hall in the Schreyer Honors College this past week, according to Schreyer spokesman Wade Bennett. Simmons is one of the 2 dorm complexes on campus that houses Honors College students. Dean Peggy Johnson sent out a message in response to the graffiti, reiterating the core values and the code of conduct of the university, stating that they, quote, "respect the dignity of each person, embrace civil discourse, and foster a diverse and inclusive community," end quote. Students were also encouraged to reach out to Schreyer Assistant Dean for Equity and Inclusion, Lynette Yarger. Whether or not the university is investigating the incident is uncertain at this time.
In 100 days, we dance for the kids. Last week marked 100 days until THON 2020 kicks off at the BJC in February. PSN News field reporter Jackie Claire was at the hub to take in all the celebration and anticipation. Let's take a look.
This is Jackie Claire reporting for PSN News outside the Hub Robeson Center in celebration of it being 100 days till THON. Today, November 13th, marks 100 days till students, supporters, and Four Diamonds families will fill up the BJC in honor of THON 2020. Let's go inside and check it out. The purpose of 100 Days is to commemorate all the hard work volunteers have already completed and to generate excitement. I got insight from Junior Communications Captain Caitlin on why she thinks it's important to celebrate 100 days.
So I'm a communications captain, and so my role is I'm an independent dancer, couple liaison. So I work with a lot of the IDCs.
Today is 100 days till THON. Why do you think it's important to recognize a milestone like that?
I think it's important to recognize that THON is not just a weekend event in February, that it's a year-long thing, and we're always celebrating, always fundraising.
Some of the events that took place were a line dance along with many other performances, a family speaker, a live hair donation, and a large group photo at the conclusion. I got to talk to senior Zach Durnack, who coordinates the entertainment for THON and all the events.
Clearly by the shirt, you have a big role.
So what is your role in today's event and THON in general?
So I'm the entertainment talent coordinator. So my position actually oversees all of the talent that is brought in for all the events. THON really is all over Penn State's campus, and you really feel its support everywhere that you go.
Some of the performances included THON's Best Dance Crew, Harmony, and Low Jack Light, whose rendition of the Game of Thrones theme song filled the crowd with delight. 100 Days was also an event for fundraising. Throughout the day, philanthropy tables were open for students to donate. I talked to Noah Rothenberger, fundraising chair for his fraternity, Phi Gamma Delta. He told me some of the events they are doing to fundraise for the kids.
I'm our finance chair for Phi Gamma Delta fraternity, and I'm also a dancer relations committee member. We have a pancake breakfast this Sunday at the Phi Gamma Delta fraternity chapter house, and that's $5 all you can eat pancakes with our partnering sorority Sigma Kappa.
100 Days was a success, and there are more events to come, including a family carnival on December 8th. It's events like these that remind us that THON isn't just one weekend, but a year-long effort. Once again, I'm Jackie Claire, and this is PSN News.
22-year-old Penn State student Kwabena Brefo Asamoah is being charged with 1 count of stalking and 2 counts of harassment after he exhibited inappropriate behavior towards a student. Asamoah allegedly harassed a student that was a member of the same Penn State club sports team. After the individual left the team in 2018, Asamoah began professing his infatuation via text, Instagram, and GroupMe. Despite police involvement, Asamoah continuously sent messages, expressed that he was in love, wrote poems about intimacy, and drew pictures of him and the individual together, which he then posted on social media. The individual said she thought Asamoah's behavior was odd, considering she was not well acquainted with him. After the individual blocked Asamoah's phone number, he found different ways to contact her, using social media accounts he created solely to communicate to her. This made the student feel extremely unsafe, and she said that the behavior caused her relentless distress that ultimately led to her departure from Penn State. According to court documents, Asamoah's behavior is like that of stalking suspects. His preliminary hearing was scheduled for November 13th, and his bail has been set at $7,500.
The project for a new multi-million-dollar parking garage on West Campus moved forward this week as the Penn State Board of Trustees unanimously approved the plans. This brand new complex will provide 1,653 parking spaces and cost just over $60 million to complete. This 6-leveled structure will be built across from the Earth and Engineering Sciences building. This is the first step in the university's plan to update and expand engineering facilities on campus. The college plans to eventually relocate much of its classes and activities to its new buildings on West Campus, while demolishing their old and outdated facilities over the course of the next 10 years. When complete, this parking structure will be the largest in all of Centre County.
Stay tuned, because after the break, Natalie Graham will bring you the latest in entertainment.
Welcome back to PSN News. I'm Natalie Graham with your entertainment update. The musical Rent will be coming to State College on November 19th to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the classic musical. Rent tells a story about a group of young artists who are struggling to make it in New York City. The show won a Tony Award for Best Musical in 1996 and was one of the longest-running Broadway shows, running on stage for about 12 years. The musical will be performed in Eisenhower Auditorium at 7:30 p.m. on November 19th. Tickets can be purchased on Ticketmaster.com for prices ranging from $60 to $70 for the public and between $40 to $50 for University Park students. There will also be an informal discussion featuring artists from the show 1 hour before the performance and is free to ticket holders on a first arrival basis. Earlier last week, the Student Programming Association brought alternative musician Grandson to Alumni Hall. The night started at 8 p.m. with a local alternative band, Grapefruit Cannonball, who earlier this year performed at Movin' On's 2019 Battle of the Bands. Grandson came on at 9 p.m. and they played songs Oh No, Apologize, and Overdose. As a band, Grandson decided to talk to the students about hard-pressing issues, ranging from addiction, mental health problems, and the importance of politics. Lead singer Jordan Benjamin opened up about his struggle with Adderall and MDX. The band also touched upon school shootings through the song Thoughts and Prayers, where the track begins with children's voices singing the first several lyrics. The band also talked about the American democracy, the importance of voting, and encouraged the students to be able to have honest conversations regarding politics. award-winning journalist for the Los Angeles Times and host of the hit podcast, now Bravo TV show, Dirty John Christopher Goffard gave a free lecture last week entitled 10 Things I Learned from My First Podcast. PSN News field reporter Shannon Leiden was there and can tell us more.
Shannon Leiden with PSN News. On November 13th, Pulitzer Award-winning journalist and podcaster Christopher Goffard was here to deliver a lecture in the Foster Auditorium called The 10 Things I Learned from My First Podcast. I got a chance to speak with some of the people attending beforehand.
Christopher Goffard's a really interesting subject. His podcasts have generated a lot of interest from me, and I know a lot of other people who are interested in the medium. And I just think learning more about his style, his background is just a really good opportunity for all of us.
I just wanted to learn more about podcasting. I'm a film student here, so it was, it's a different media than what I'm used to, and it sounded interesting. I mean, I'd be interested in learning how to start a podcast, just learn how, he got started and everything like that.
10 tips that he's focusing on, so I guess finding out what's number one.
Throughout the lecture, Goffard spoke on his podcast named Dirty John and the steps he took to becoming so successful in the podcast world. Dirty John is now a hit TV series on Bravo. With PSN News, this is Shannon Leiden.
This past Saturday was Harry Styles' first time hosting and being the musical guest for Saturday Night Live. Styles debuted his new single, Watermelon Sugar, during the show. Styles teased a not actually happening One Direction reunion in his monologue and played a wide variety of characters that let the audience see his comedic side. Some of the characters he played were a naive intern, a magical dog that turned into a human, an Icelandic lip syncer, a funeral DJ, as well as several other crazy characters. However, one of the skits was a raunchy skit about Styles being the Instagram manager for Sara Lee Bread Company, which led their actual Instagram to be filled with suggestive comments and emojis, making the company lock their comment section. Styles also played an acoustic version of Lights Up, which was the first single released from his album titled Fine Line, which will be released on December 13th. General tickets for his upcoming tour will be released on Friday, November 22nd. That was your entertainment update. After the break, Jack Flanagan will bring you the latest from the world of sports. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to PSN News. I'm Jack Flanagan with your sports update. After coming off an upset loss against the Minnesota Gophers last weekend, the Penn State football team bounced back with a 34-27 win against the Indiana Hoosiers this Saturday. Led by running back Journey Brown and quarterback Sean Clifford, the Nittany Lions finished the Hoosiers off with a last long 9-minute drive in the fourth quarter and secured their 9th win of the season. Penn State will try to keep their playoff hopes and Big Ten championship aspirations alive this upcoming weekend when they travel to Columbus, Ohio, to face a familiar foe in the Ohio State Buckeyes. The Penn State women's soccer team continued their exciting run Friday when they came from behind to beat Stony Brook 3-1 in the opening round of the NCAA tournament. Stony Brook's Fanny Goddison scored the first goal of the game in the 18th minute, and the Nittany Lions weren't able to score their first goal until right after halftime, when a shot from Frankie Tagliaferri was able to find the back of the net. The scoring continued for Penn State in the second half, with goals from Sam Coffey and Kerry Abello giving them a strong lead and eventually the victory. The Nittany Lions will face the Arizona Wildcats on the 22nd in the second round of the NCAA tournament. The Houston Astros find themselves in a somehow even more difficult position this offseason after losing the World Series. Former Astro pitcher Mike Fears recently telling reporters the team used a camera in center field to illegally steal signs from their opponents during the 2017 championship season. While stealing signs from the opponent is legal in baseball and almost every sport, using technology to do so is not. Major League Baseball is currently looking into the investigation, along with an investigation into the Astros organizational culture after Astros general manager Brandon Taubman directed inappropriate comments about Astros closer Roberto Osuna to a female reporter from Sports Illustrated. That was your sports update. Stay tuned, because after the break, we'll have an exclusive interview with Panini Pandya, the president of State of State.
Welcome back to PSN News. I'm Brandon DeWolf. Tonight, we have Panini Pandya, the executive director of State, a student-run organization at Penn State, committed to facilitating a dialogue within the university community about important Penn State-related issues. Penny, thanks for coming on to my show today. So how are you doing?
Doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing well. So can you tell me a little bit about State of State and what you guys do as a club?
Right. So as our mission statement is that we want to, like you said earlier, to facilitate a dialogue about important issues on Penn State's campus. So the way that we do that is by hosting these conferences where we invite student, faculty, alumni, community members to come and speak about issues that they find important, things that they are involved with, causes that they're really passionate about. So think of it in this way, like a TED Talk presentation, but all of the topics are centered about Penn State.
Awesome. So there's a lot of issues to be passionate about here at Penn State, and I understand you guys are expanding from what was previously a once-a-year format to 2 conferences a year, and now you have a fall conference coming up this Thursday, right? Can you tell me about that and a little bit about the preparation that goes into expanding so much?
Yeah. So we always used to say, like, we're not just our spring conference. So I should preface that by saying what our trademark event is, that we have this big conference in the spring held at the State Theater, and then we host this post-conference discussion at different sites on campus or off, where you have this dialogue to kind of unpack what you heard. And we always said we're not just our spring conference, so we expanded, and now we're having a fall conference, and I'd like to host other smaller events that kind of provide an avenue to have an ongoing dialogue about the present and future of our university. So the preparations that have gotten involved in this, it's kind of like a mini version of what we do in the spring. So instead of the 13 speakers that we typically have, we have 5 this Thursday, 3 students and 2 faculty members. It's going to be at Hub Flex Theater. So again, on campus, smaller venue, but it'll still follow that format where all of the presenters give their talks, and that'll be followed by Q&A and facilitated dialogue, where again, we unpack what we heard and we kind of let people digest it with the aspiration that they will take what they've learned, that they've been inspired by something that they've heard about, and take action. So the most concrete example that I provide when I say take action is that a few years back, we had a sustainability set where all the presenters talked about issues regarding sustainability and environmental responsibility on campus. And then after that, UPUA, the University Park Undergraduate Association, they created like a sustainability committee like that just deals with these kinds of issues after hearing all that they heard at the conference.
Great. So this is a smaller conference this semester. So Let's Talks, like you said, which means that these ones must be pretty important. You mentioned sustainability a lot. Is that something you expect to hear about? And if not, what kind of do you expect to hear about this upcoming fall conference?
So sustainability is not addressed in this conference. So some of the topics, Daniel Zahn, he is on the UPUA Judicial Board. He'll be talking about free speech on campus. So where does Penn State stand in regards to other Big Ten universities? How do these policies affect everyday lives of students? Sienna Baker, she's the president of Shire for Women. She's going to be talking about the role of women's organizations. As a women's organization, are you inherently feminist? Do you have an inherent political ideology? How do you operate these kind of tricky entanglements between politics and just trying to be a student org? Then faculty side, Dr. Deanna Baring, she just got elected to Borough Council, so she'll be talking about relations between the State College community and the student body. We're this really transient population. We come and go in 4 years, but we basically define this town in so many ways. So she'll be talking about College Avenue as a two-way street where we're talking to each other and having these constant interactions. So that's just a few of them.
All right, so there's a lot to look forward to for this Thursday. Panini, thanks for joining me today. And coming up after your break, we'll have this week's weather report. Stay tuned.
From the students of Penn State Meteorology, here is your Penn State Campus Weather Service forecast.
Good Monday evening. I'm student meteorologist Christopher Tate here with your PSN forecast. Our weather headlines for the next couple of days have temperatures remaining below average for this time of year. This is also the time of year where our average low temperature dips below 32 degrees for the first time. So on average, going forward, we do expect temperatures to be below freezing, and we'll certainly see that coming up in your 7-day forecast. We are also looking at the possibility of a little bit of light wintry precip off and on throughout the week. I'll show you that in just a moment on future weather. It should be a relatively calm weekend as well, though we may see a little bit of a storm system on Sunday to bring us a few flurries. Let's time things out for you on future weather, starting off Monday at 8:30 p.m. The low pressure system that brought storm surge to the Carolinas this weekend is going to be racing up the eastern seaboard, and it's going to continue to do that as we head overnight Monday into Tuesday. By Tuesday morning, notice this large swath of snow and some mixed precipitation off into the interior northeast. Here in State College, we're really only expecting some clouds from this system, no real precipitation of any kind, and any that we do see, A, would surprise me, and B, would be very light in nature. Tuesday should be a fairly pleasant day. Then as we head into the day on Wednesday, may see a little bit of light precipitation as you're heading out to your morning classes. Now, it is possible that the temperatures above the ground are going to be below freezing, and above the ground is where snow forms. So where this computer model currently thinks there's going to be rain, we may see a little bit of light snow accumulation. So just keep an eye out for that as you head into the day on Wednesday, out to your morning classes and out to any morning work you may have as well. Clouds clear out Wednesday, and then on Thursday, winds shift out of the south, bringing us a little bit warmer air as a low pressure system way up in Canada is going to slide to our north. The cold front associated with it is going to carry a fair amount of rain. This is going to be our best chance at precipitation for this week. Also our best chance at above normal temperatures, and possibly our last chance of those for a little while. Could see some light, maybe a moderate shower or two embedded in this storm system. That's eventually going to clear out by about the early morning hours on Friday, and it's going to leave us with lots of clouds, mainly some lake effect clouds. Also can't rule out the possibility of a little bit of lake effect snow off into the northwestern corner of the state, up by Erie and far southwestern New York, a little bit to the north of Bradford. Friday, the clouds clear out. Saturday, more clouds start to build in advance of the next storm system that's going to be arriving. In a sneak preview for Sunday, that may bring us a little bit of snow flurries as we head into the afternoon hours on Sunday. For tonight, though, it's going to be a fairly chilly night. 32 degrees for your low tonight under a mostly cloudy sky. Calm winds, so at least we won't have any wind chill to deal with, which will be a nice change of pace from the past couple of days. And as we head into the day tomorrow, 45 degrees. It'll be a touch warmer than it was today with a light westerly wind. Not too bad of a day to get outside. As temperatures rise into the second half of the week, the rain chances go up, as I was showing you on future weather. 49 degrees will be slightly above average by about 2 to 3 degrees on Thursday. And then as we head into the weekend, temperatures falling back below average for this time of year. Saturday and Sunday, the first couple of days in a while where we've seen low temperatures below the 30-degree mark. So make sure you have any extra layers that you're going to need if you're heading out for evening activities this coming weekend. For the Penn State Campus Weather Service, I'm student meteorologist Christopher Tate. Have a pleasant evening.
Six men in New Jersey have been arrested in connection with the shooting at a packed high school football game between Camden and Pleasantville, and what authorities have said was a result of a, quote, petty vengeance. And the target of the shooting, Ibn Abdullah, age 27, was wounded but is in stable condition. According to authorities, Abdullah was charged after a gun was found on him when emergency responders went to his aid. The two other victims were 10 and 15-year-old boys who were both shot at and remain in critical condition. Authorities declined to discuss what led to the shooting, citing the ongoing investigation, but said it did not appear that any of the men charged had any connection to the game. The alleged shooter, Alvin Wyatt, was charged with 3 counts of attempted murder, and the other suspects faced weapon charges. Governor Phil Murphy later said in a statement, quote, "Last night was a stark reminder that no community is immune from gun violence, and that we must never give up our efforts to prevent such senseless acts," end quote.
Popular fast food chain Chick-fil-A announced today that they will no longer be donating profits to some organizations criticized of being anti-LGBTQ. The Christian-owned chicken giant has faced backlash for years for financially supporting organizations that have taken controversial stances on issues such as homosexuality and same-sex marriage. The two organizations blacklisted include the Salvation Army and the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, otherwise known as the FCA. The Salvation Army has said in the past that the Bible forbids intimacy between members of the same sex and that the scripture does not support same-sex marriage, even though they still allow LGBTQ identifying people to utilize their services. Moving forward, Chick-fil-A said that they will be focusing on supporting organizations that focus on hunger, homelessness, and education.
A Texas judge saved a man on death row after public outcry and new evidence that he did not kill a woman over 20 years ago. 51-year-old Rodney Reed was sentenced to a death for the alleged murder of 19-year-old Stacy Stites in 1996. Reed was arrested at the time based on DNA test, but his lawyers have argued for years that the tests were critically mishandled. New witness testimony and information now points to Stites' ex-fiancé, Jimmy Fennell, a former police officer convicted of kidnapping and rape charges in 2008. As a potential suspect, many public officials and celebrities such as Senator Ted Cruz and Kim Kardashian called on the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals for weeks as soon as the information came out. Reed was originally set to be executed this past Friday. The case will now be reopened.
2 teens were officially identified after being involved in a fatal school shooting at a Southern California high school this week. Grace Ann Muehlberger and Dominic Blackwell were among those shot in the school's quad area when the gunman randomly pulled out a pistol from his backpack. Shortly after targeting fellow students at the school, the gunman turned the gun on himself. His motive remains a mystery as 3 other teens wounded in the shooting fight for their lives at the hospital, expected to survive. The school will not resume classes the following Monday, while other schools in the area will have a larger law enforcement presence. Optional activities will be offered to help students cope with the situations to heal and move forward. Authorities are continuing to investigate the motive for the random attack as students start back to school after Thanksgiving break next week.
And that's all for tonight on PSN News.
Be sure to check us out on Twitter and Facebook at PSN News, on Instagram at Penn State Network News, and to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Have a good night, Penn State.